Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So before we get started with today's video, as promised, we got to do the giveaway for 50,000 subscribers. So like I said in the last video, how we're going to do that: the person with the most like comment gets some merch, the person I choose gets some merch, and my offspring here, little boo boo, she gets to choose the third person. Okay, so first person, we know who won, and I really love this actually, that you guys like this, and that's from Mark D, whose son just finished Robin Sage, is going to graduate and become a Green Beret. So Mark, I'll get in contact with you and we'll get you and your son some merch, and congrats, by the way, that's awesome. And then my daughter, we chose, let's see where he was. It's a few down. Right here. Patrick Mead, 8577. You have been chosen by my daughter to win the other. Pumped to learn about tactical fitness from real experts. Love it, buddy. All right. And then our last winner of the day was the one I chose, which was, let's see, right here, Siren7442 says, Nate looks like that middle schooler that still kicks it with elementary kids on his block. Dude's huge in comparison. Thanks for the comment, bro. Appreciate that. All right, that's it for my daughter. We got Munchkin as well. Be on the lookout for that tactical Munchkin merch. All right, thanks, boo-boo. All right, so let's jump into the video and talk about how to break bad habits. Okay, now I am not a psychologist, I am not an expert, but I can tell you guys that I have managed to break a lot of bad habits in my day. Okay, and I'll talk about what those were as I went. All right, now habits, I think, are super important because they're sort of the building blocks to mental discipline. And what I mean by that is, you don't build mental discipline just overnight and you just decide you're mentally disciplined. You have to have habits, okay? Those can be good habits, they can be bad habits, all right? And typically, bad habits are dragging us down away from achieving our goals, especially fitness, okay? So like we talked about, this week is fitness related. So to become tactically fit or fit in general, you have to have good habits, okay? You can technically have bad habits and still maintain fitness, all right? I'll talk about that a little bit later for you 25-year-olds, all right? But for the most part, at least to be fit, you've got to have mental discipline and good habits in place, all right? So in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the 3 things that for me personally, I was able to overcome some of the hardest bad habits to kick, and I kind of had all the vices at one point. Now, let's talk about the habits that I kicked, and I actually kicked some of these recently, all right? So the worst one I had, I've been smoking since I was 18 years old. And not only that, I started dipping when I got in the military. So, and then I continued to smoke. So I actually smoked and dipped for almost 20 years. I guess in the last sort of 3 years, I switched to Zyn and vaping, but obviously not a whole lot better, okay? Now, on the day I retired, on September 20th of last year, I told myself forever I was going to quit, and I quit smoking and dipping cold turkey, and proud to say, haven't touched it even once since. No relapse, no nothing. And I'll show you guys a video about that later. But what other vices? Drinking. Special Forces has a heavy drinking culture for sure. I used to go through probably a quarter of a bottle of whiskey a night every night. You know, that's not that much. 2-3 shots, get my buzz, feel good. Every single night though, not great. And we'll talk about alcohol and cigarettes and how massive of a negative effect they have on your physical fitness, especially as you get older into your mid-30s and after, and why it's a habit you should consider kicking. I know you guys have seen me drinking a Truly from time or two. I do like to have, you know, maybe 1 seltzer every couple of days, but that is a far cry from how much I used to drink, all right? And then Yeah, other habits as well. Energy drinks were another one. I used to drink like 3 Monsters or Red Bulls a day, and then I ended up almost dying from a botched kidney stone surgery by a shitty military doctor in 2020, and I managed to pretty much kick that habit as well, right? So I'm telling you guys this because I'm not one of those guys who like never tried drinking, never tried smoking, and I'm gonna lecture you about how you should live your life and your bad habits. I'm not. I am the guy who had all of the bad habits, and I've pretty much gotten rid of all of them through these 3 methods that I'm going to talk about later. Right? We're going to jump right into it. I guess I don't need the cool guy glasses now that my daughter's gone. All right, so number 1, and this, I think this is going to relate to you guys as soon as I start talking about it. I know it will. The number 1 most important thing is the conversation that we have with ourself, okay? Think of it, if it's the angel on one shoulder, demon on the other shoulder, your inner monologue with your outer monologue. You guys know we are kind of all psychopaths. We talk to ourselves, right? When I think, I'm talking to myself. And whatever that conversation is, right, is between me and the demon on my shoulder, the angel on my shoulder. Which side wins, right? Well, typically what you guys will find in bad habits, and this is what it was for me, is it's always a negotiation, right, with yourself. It's always some type of excuse, okay? I'll give you some examples, right? So for smoking and dipping for 20 years of my military career, I always had the excuse that like I'm gonna stop when I retire because the job is too stressful. Special Forces is a very stressful job, right? I'm jumping out of planes, I'm flying into combat, I'm in gunfights. I can't quit, okay? That was kind of the excuse and the story I was telling myself. Is it true? No, of course not. I could have, squashed that with mental discipline, but that's the conversation I had with myself. So I wrote a narrative about this, even though it's not true, to fit the bad habit, okay? We do it with alcohol as well, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I don't drink. Unless you're a full-blown alcoholic, then please get help. But someone like me, 2-3 drinks a night, every night. Oh, well, I'm not getting drunk. I'm still good in the morning. I'm still good to work. Okay, not great. The problem with that too, guys, from a physical fitness standpoint, the alcohol is probably the worst possible thing to put in your body for physical fitness, by far. One night of drinking is going to detract almost an entire week of physical fitness. So you're kind of like working out just to stay even based off of the amount of alcohol you're drinking. You're never making really any progress. I'd highly suggest you consider cutting way back, not binge drinking, drinking hard. But again, you guys can do what you want, right? Also, terrible for your health, long being. Now, smoking and dip, obviously both just as bad. Okay, so for me now, haven't smoked or dipped in a year, and I can tell you guys, my sinus passages, I'm not constantly coughing shit up. I can actually run without hacking and feel like I'm gonna throw up after. Makes a massive difference for your physical fitness to not be smoking and drinking. Those are the obvious vices, right? But again, also, this is a big one for fitness, guys. We all know this feeling, and a lot of you who maybe aren't working out as much as you'd like to, or working out at all, but you used to, you've started to tell yourself a story. What was that story? Oh, my job, I'm so busy at my job, and as soon as I get off work, I get home with a wife and kids, I just don't have time, right? You know, deep down, you could wake up at 5 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. and get your workout in, but you don't, because you lied to yourself and you gave into that story your inner monologue is telling you, okay? You're giving into the excuses. So, I want you guys to think of it this way. Your inner monologue is a terrorist. Okay, I promise you, it never has your best intentions at heart when it comes to bad habits, right? When that feeling of, oh, I need that next smoke, you start to run that new story in your head, okay? Terrorism. And like we always say, unless you're, recent Democrat presidents, we don't negotiate with terrorists, right? So we will not negotiate with ourselves. So what I do, right, when I start to, and you guys will build into this, when I start to have that conversation with myself, I don't really feel like going to the gym today. I'll go tomorrow. I already worked out the last 3 days in a row. It's good to take a break today. The second my inner monologue starts to tell that story, I squash it like a bug, and I call myself a bitch and say, no, inner monologue, not doing it. We're going now. Putting on my shoes, out the door. 100% of the time I do that, I'm glad I did. You will never be disappointed when you try to go against your inner monologue in a positive way against your bad habit. All right. So, what you guys will find, the best part of this is, this I believe is how true mental discipline is built. Okay. Mental discipline is really just doing things you don't want to do all the time and not even thinking about it. How do you get there? And that is constantly squashing that inner monologue when the bad ideas come up. If you can do that repeatedly, just day after day after day. Oh, I really want that cigarette? Nope, squash. Okay? You'll find that that bad idea fairy kind of just stops existing, to the point of like, you wake up, it's just time to go to the gym. You're tired, you feel like shit. You don't even think about it anymore. There's no conversation to be had. That is when you're going to hit true mental discipline. All right? If you can reach that, you can take on the world. You can conquer any bad habit. Now, another thing that really helped me, okay, number 2, and that is, I'm an extremely competitive person. I hate to lose. I like to win at everything. It is what it is, right? Most SF guys, to get where they got, are very, very competitive, right? It's in our nature. So I view breaking bad habits as a competition with myself, competition with that inner monologue. So I try to perceive it as a challenge. When I quit smoking, I decided to perceive it as a competition, as a challenge. Every single time I had the craving that I wanted to smoke, which, don't get me wrong, not easy to quit. When I was able to squash it, I sort of got that feeling of superiority, that I had like won that individual battle. Okay, and I just kept doing that over and over again, right? I also, like I said before, kind of bully myself, okay? You guys hear the saying, like, bring back bullying, things like that. And now, I'm not saying you need to go bully each other, and I definitely don't mean, like, start talking down to yourself, because I think you should always talk positively to yourself. But think of it kind of like when you're with a buddy, right? If you've got a gym partner that's your best friend, you guys work out every single day together, you decide, oh, I don't really feel like it today, I'm not gonna go. What does your buddy say? Your buddy says, don't be a bitch, right? Like, get in the car, we're gonna go lift. What do? All right, fine. You can do that to yourself, okay? Bully yourself into good decisions, all right? And again, as soon as that little devil starts speaking like, oh, we don't actually need to work out today. Squash it, I'm gonna win the battle today, all right? And no excuses, okay? I know, it's hard, guys. That's where this narrative starts coming in. Oh, like, we always can develop an excuse for ourselves and convince ourselves into believing the excuse, okay? So you have to stop agreeing with the inner monologue excuses, all right? Well, again, I'm just too tired today. I just worked a 10-hour shift. I'll work out tomorrow. Nope. That conversation is not being had. No excuse. We're going to the gym, all right? So, number 3. And, again, yeah, so for those of you, before I get that far, let me backtrack. Part of my notes here, I brought up a good point. For those of you who are going to Special Forces Assessment Selection, a lot of 18 X-rays that follow my channel, I can promise you, when I'm talking about the conversation you're going to have with yourself, okay? Quitting something is also a bad habit, right? And when you do it repeatedly, it turns into a really bad habit, okay? Now, you are going to have this conversation with yourself 100 times during the Q course, okay? I promise you, I had it. Every single person has had it, right? Which is, you start feeling sorry for yourself, and it's, oh, well, you know, whatever reason, I didn't really actually want to be a Green Beret, and I could actually do this instead. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if I just gave up or quit. That little devil is going to start whispering in your ear. You have to squash it immediately, over and over, and you'll find, once you get halfway through the Q course, you've done that so many times, and no matter how shitty the something is that you're going through, you don't even think about it anymore, okay? Because quitting isn't a habit that you have, and you're not about to start, okay? Now, number 3, and I think this one is very, very important for breaking bad habits and building good habits. Accountability. It's very difficult to maintain accountability with ourselves, okay? It's a challenge. But like I mentioned with, you know, you got a buddy who's a gym partner, it's much easier to have accountability for yourself when someone else is involved, okay? So for an example of this is what I did. When I decided I was gonna quit smoking, okay, I made an Instagram video telling everybody I was gonna quit smoking and guaranteeing that I would not start smoking again. Why did I do that? Well, again, I'm a hyper-competitive person, and now I've got the accountability of all of my viewers to where all of my students, my friends, my family, if they saw me smoking a cigarette, they would bow and out me, right? Be like, that piece of shit's a liar. He gave up. He's not mentally disciplined. He's weak. I turned it into a game for myself that I wasn't going to appear weak to everyone else because I'd already promised that I could do it, okay? I had this, luckily, as a benefit when I was in the Special Forces qualification course, much like this mentally, that my dad was a Green Beret, okay? How did that help me? Because in the back of my head, right, I knew I could not quit. Why? I would have to go and tell my dad, who was a Green Beret, I quit, and I couldn't mentally do that, right? So that's accountability, okay? And you can do it with anything. Have accountability, and it needs to be, try to do it also, what really helps is somebody you really respect, okay? So if you've got a mentor, an older brother, right, mom, a dad, who you really respect and really value the opinion of, because to be honest, guys, I don't give a shit about anybody's opinion out there other than the people I care about, right? And you guys should too. But the people you do care about, you do value their opinion, and if you can get accountability through them, then it becomes a disappointment, you know, in the back of your brain that you don't want to take forward to that person, right? So accountability will drastically help you, okay? Tell people you care about, I'm quitting smoking, right? And you don't have to tell them to not let you or anything like that, but tell them I'm tough enough to do this, I'm gonna quit smoking, and if you see me smoke, call me out for it, right? Call me a bitch or whatever, okay? It will, I promise you, that third-party accountability, massive for breaking bad habits and also forming good habits. Okay, now, let me clip back from a fitness standpoint about bad habits, okay? A lot of you 25-year-olds out there, okay, that was you before, you are super fit, shredded, okay? You can run fast, lift heavy, you can smoke, dip, party all weekend, and you got no issues, okay? Well, I can tell you, I did that exact same thing as you, all right? And I looked like this at 25, okay? Smoking, dipping, drinking, all of it. Bad habits galore, okay? I was a beast, right? Now, fast forward 10 years, okay? Me smoking, dipping, drinking all the time, absolutely obliterate my body, okay? So keep in mind your metabolism, all these things, those bad habits you're going to take forward with you, even if you aren't feeling like the super negative side effects of those bad habits in your mid-20s. You do that for another 10 years and it's going to decimate your body, okay? So be future oriented. These things will catch up to you, all right? Now, to sort of holistically wrap this up and how I look at these things, and one last thing that can help you, okay? Not everybody has this, but for breaking bad habits, obviously do it for yourself, okay? Because for your own health and things like that. Excuse me. But do it for your family. I'm talking to all you fathers out there. Do it for your family and your children. Why? I've talked about this before. You guys are the example setter to your family. Your wife and children will emulate and imitate everything that you do, okay? If you are super out of shape, you eat like shit, you never go to the gym, your wife ain't gonna do it, your kids ain't gonna do it, okay? If you smoke, right, your entire kids' lives, and they turn 18 and they start smoking, who are you gonna be to tell them not to smoke? They grew up with their role model doing it their whole lives. Of course they're most likely gonna start doing it, right? Same thing as drinking. So think about it that way, and the fact that you are the provider, you are the protector, okay? You are the example setter. You should not be out of shape, 100 pounds overweight, not going to the gym, smoking and drinking as dad. Wrong. Be the fit dad. Be the fittest dad in the neighborhood. That's the way I look at it. When I walk outside in the neighborhood, I am 10 times more fit than every single man in this neighborhood, and I like that, right? So You don't have to be in a military profession or anything like that. Be the example for your wife and your children. All right, guys. So this went a little bit longer, and you know, I hope some of these things are things, again, I'm not a psychologist. I didn't research any of this shit. These are things over 20 years of trying to break bad habits that I finally found worked for me so that I could break pretty much every bad habit. And again, I'm not perfect, guys, but I never touch cigarettes, never touch a dip, almost never drink. And I work out 7 days a week, okay, with a busy schedule. And it's just natural for me now, all right? It took a while. It was painful at first, that first month of not smoking. Ooh, savage. But, you know, I did things, chew a bunch of gum, all right, toothpicks. It all works, all right? Last thing, for me, cold turkey. That's the only way anything worked for me was I'm going to make this promise to myself. I'm going to keep the promise, and that's what it goes. I'm not saying that's going to work for you, but I'm hoping, you know, maybe some of these things, if we have similar personalities, might carry over for you, and you're able to quit smoking after 20 years or something like that too, based off this video. That would be the coolest thing. All right, guys? Also, don't forget, as we're talking about it, in trying to get fit, partnered with Modern Athlete Strength. Make sure to check out the link. Go get part of the community. Get on the programming. It's awesome. And then merch. I know merch, guys. I know everybody said tons of sizes are sold out. We got a reload coming on everything merch this week, and I'll put that out to you guys when it gets in. So thank you again for 50,000 subscribers. We're already almost at like 51,000, and we just posted that. So the channel's growing so fast. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, right? And again, I appreciate all the support, guys. All right, take care.